The car. We view it as a mobile fortress, a safe metal box isolating us from the wild world outside. We turn on the music, turn up the heater, and believe we are in control of the journey. But have you ever wondered, as your headlights sweep through the night at 50 miles per hour, what is standing right on the shoulder watching you? Today, we will look through the lens of the most honest witness, the dash cam. It knows no fear, it doesn't blink, and it doesn't lie. From giant creatures blocking roads in North America to wandering spirits on the mountain passes of Southeast Asia. Fasten your seatbelts and lock your doors, because this trip will take us down roads that Google Maps never warned you about. The she-wolf hybrid, digital masterpiece, or manatee monster. We often think high trucks are safe until we see this dash cam footage from Michigan. As the driver rested, a strange noise made him turn to the driver's side window. Staring back at him through the thin glass was a nightmare. It was a female dogman in an incomplete state of transformation. The face bore a fox-like snout, but the eyes had human whites and a piercing, intelligent gaze. Long black hair cascaded over a gaunt, bare chest, clearly revealing a female form. The most terrifying moment was not a growl, but a smile. It bared its jagged teeth in a twisted, mocking grin. After savoring the driver's fear instead of attacking it, turned and sprinted away on all fours into the night. While haunting, I suspect this is high-end CGI/AI. The lighting on the face and the glass reflection is too cinematic. The facial expression of the smile is too fluid and human-like, reminiscent of characters rendered in Unreal Engine 5, rather than a real wild animal. It's beautiful, but artificially so. The Kentucky Pale Crawler. The footage opens with the familiar setting of the Bluegrass Parkway in Kentucky. But at the 23:14 mark on the right corner of the screen, the nightmare appears. A stark, white emaciated creature stands motionless on the roadside like a mile marker leading to hell. Look closely at its biological structure as the car approaches. This is neither a dog nor a deer. It possesses grotesquely elongated limbs and smooth, hairless, glabrous skin that reflects the headlights in a ghostly manner. It stands on all fours, but its posture is reminiscent of a giant spider, or the cryptid known to hunters as the Pale Crawler. The most terrifying aspect is not its appearance, but its reaction speed. As the car zooms past, instead of fleeing into the woods like an animal's survival instinct would dictate, it chooses to attack. The camera captures the moment it sprints to catch up and recklessly cuts off the vehicle. The collision in the final frame reveals the creature's extreme aggression. It fears no steel, it fears no speed. It views the car not as a threat, but as prey that must be stopped. Had the driver not kept a steady hand in that moment, this footage would likely have become evidence at the scene of an unexplained catastrophic accident. Titanoboa on the highway. A night driver on Interstate 75, I-75 in Florida, recorded this scene. A military heavy transport convoy is moving slowly toward a southern airbase, carrying a massive uncovered cargo. Look at the size and texture of that cargo. It is dozens of meters long, coiled into multiple stacked loops. Under the yellow streetlights, the outer shell is clearly visible. Huge scales overlapping in the biological pattern of a reptile, reflecting the light in a slick, cold manner. This is precisely the shape of a snake, but its size defies all understanding of modern biology. It is reminiscent of the titanoboa, a prehistoric giant snake that went extinct millions of years ago. The fact that it is being transported openly without heavy concealment might be a psychological ploy of hiding in plain sight, or perhaps simply because no tarp was large enough to cover it. Skeptics will say, this is just a prop model for an upcoming monster movie. Possibly, but watch how the truck moves slowly, carefully, as if afraid to disturb the thing sleeping in the back. If this is fake, the creator is a master sculptor. But if this is real, then the military has found something in the deep jungle that textbooks haven't updated yet. And where is it going? An underground lab or a zoo for nightmares? The two-faced woman. We switch from cars to a much riskier vehicle, a motorcycle. On a dirt road leading to Kuldhara, India's most haunted abandoned village, a shaky motorcycle camera captured a woman in a white dress. But let's put ghosts aside for a moment and look at the creature's wrong biomechanics. At first glance, she appears to be walking backward toward the bike. But look closely at the legs. Her toes and knees are pointing forward in the direction of travel, while her upper torso and head are twisted 180 degrees backward. The human spinal structure does not allow this. She moves fluidly with what looks like a broken neck, creating a gait that is both beckoning and menacing. The tension peaks when the creature suddenly stops in the middle of the road, blocking the path. Instead of fleeing, it starts to approach the motorcycle. And the most terrifying moment occurs when it decides to turn its head back to align with the body. As the head rotates to face forward, we expect to see the back of the head or hair, but no, another face appears. What is this aconjoined twin mutant? An entity from Japanese or Indian folklore like the churro, the backward-footed ghost, or simply a staged prank with a contortionist wearing a mask on the back of their head? Whatever it is, encountering this on a lonely road at midnight makes turning the bike around the smartest solution. The roadblock in Wisconsin. The next clip takes us to a desolate back road in northern Wisconsin at 2 a.m. The driver is cruising at a steady speed when suddenly, from the right shoulder, a white figure darts out to cut them off. Typically, a deer would panic and slip on the asphalt, but not this creature. It stops right in the middle of the lane, planting its front legs firmly and turning its head to face the headlights head-on. This is a massive white Dogman. Look at its size relative to the lane width. Even on all fours, its shoulders sit as high as the car's hood. The most breathtaking moment is when the car slams on the brakes and skids toward it. Instead of fleeing, the monster lunges forward, bringing its face right up to the front of the vehicle. Under the intense high beams, its eyes glow a terrifying reddish-orange, the reflective tapetum lucidum effect, and its teeth are bared in a menacing grin. It does not fear this mass of steel. Its action is a dominant warning. Stop, or I will tear this box apart. After a few tense seconds of a staring contest, realizing the car has come to a complete halt, it decides to spare them. The monster turns and vanishes into the night on the roadside with terrifying speed, leaving the driver frozen in shock. Why did it block the road? Perhaps it was protecting a pack crossing behind it, or, more simply, it just wanted to remind humanity who the real master of this forest is. The Washington hydra. A glitch in nature. We often hear about mutant animals in the nuclear disaster zone of Chernobyl, but this footage comes from the lush green forests of Washington state. A driver navigating a mountain pass had to make an emergency stop before a bizarre biological roadblock. A black bear lumbering down the middle of the road. But look closely at the neck. This is no ordinary bear. It has two distinct heads sprouting from the same torso. In medicine, this phenomenon is called polycephaly. Typically, such mutants rarely survive infancy. But this monster, it is a full-grown adult, massive and healthy. The most chilling moment is when the car approaches, and both heads simultaneously turn to stare down the driver. 4 eyes, 2 brains controlling one predatory body. Their coordination is terrifyingly seamless. Upon realizing the human presence, the creature turns and flees into the woods. Skeptics might argue this is just a visual trick, forced perspective caused by a cub walking closely tucked against its mother. But look again at the close-up shot of the faces. The clear separation of the 2 skulls forces us to ask, What kind of grotesque patches is nature testing in those deep woods that we have yet to discover? The dome antlered moose. The next clip takes us to the Freezing Parks Highway in Alaska, where a blue SUV has become a punching bag for a giant creature venting its rage. It is a moose, but its antler structure is something unseen in biological textbooks. Look closely at the crown on its head. Instead of spreading wide to the sides like shovels for fighting and attracting mates, this animal's antlers curve sharply upward and inward, converging to form a bizarre dome or bone cage surrounding the top of its skull. This could be a rare genetic mutation or the consequence of CWD, chronic wasting disease, causing malformed bone growth. Its aggression is undeniable. The animal rears up on its hind legs using its full weight of hundreds of kilograms to deliver thunderous stomps onto the poor vehicle. The car's rear bumper has already been torn off and lies discarded on the snow. But the detail that chills the viewer most is the absence of humans. The car sits there, engine off, doors closed, but there is no sign of the driver. Why would they abandon their property in the freezing Alaskan winter? There are two scenarios. One, they panicked and fled into the deep woods to escape this rampaging monster. Two, and far worse, this moose is just a late arrival. Perhaps the driver had already been dragged out by something far more terrible, and this bizarre moose is simply taking its anger out on the remnants of the scene. The giant of Circleville. Imagine stopping for gas in Circleville, Ohio. You look up and see a towering creature planted in the middle of a misty intersection, its head reaching above the high-voltage power lines. The creature is irrationally tall, its head towering above high-voltage power lines and street lamps. Its body structure is gaunt, like a skeleton stretched to its limit. Two spindly legs plant into the asphalt like a giant compass, while its arms hang down to touch the ground, limp and dark, like severed cables. Its face lacks distinct features, save for two cold, glowing white orbs where eyes should be staring directly into the lens. It stands there silent and overwhelming, making the car on the roadside look like a tiny toy. However, let's turn on the skeptic filter. This angle, it's too beautiful. It's too cinematic. The composition with the vintage car parked on the left, the streetlights reflecting off the wet pavement, creating perfect, ray-traced reflections down to the ripple. No shaky phone camera or grainy security cam captures studio-quality lighting like this at night. My verdict. This is 99% likely a product of AI art or a 3D render from Unreal Engine 5. It taps into megalophobia and Slenderman tropes, but its very perfection is what betrays its artificiality. Real monsters usually don't know how to pose like movie posters. The abnormal livestock. Anyone driving at night in rural Texas is familiar with this hazard loose livestock. When the headlights swept across a massive black and white mass blocking FM 2810, the driver's first reflex was to slam on the brakes to avoid hitting a cow. But watch closely as the car slows down and approaches. The creature's body is undeniably bovine, heavy, sluggish. However, when the car horn honks, it turns its head, and that is when the horror sets in. That face does not belong to a herbivore. It lacks the characteristic elongated snout. Instead, the skull is flat featuring eyes positioned forward on the face binocular vision like a predator or a human, not on the sides like cattle. Under the high beams, it bears jagged, sharp teeth instead of a gentle chewing jaw. This is what locals call a skinwalker, attempting mimicry, but failing at the most crucial detail. It has the body of prey, but wears the face of a predator. The driver didn't wait to investigate further. The screech of tires on asphalt shows they turned around and fled as fast as possible. The naked woman reverse crabwalk. This dashcam footage was recorded on Highway 323, a road notorious for hauntings that cuts through the deep jungles of Thailand. Under the torrential tropical rain at past 100 a.m., car headlights illuminate a completely naked woman sitting in the middle of the road. The horror comes not from her nudity, but from her locomotion. Instead of standing up like a normal human, she performs a backward crabwalk. She plants her hands behind her back, lifts her entire body, and moves on all fours with her abdomen facing the sky. This is an incredibly difficult posture for a normal human to maintain, especially on slick asphalt, yet she executes it with absurd fluidity. When she finally decides to stand up, her gait becomes stiff and jerky. It appears she is walking backward, or perhaps struggling to command her legs to walk while her brain sends the wrong signals. In documented cases of possession in ancient medical texts, victims often lose body control and move in non-physical ways. However, from a forensic science perspective, this could be someone under the extreme influence of synthetic drugs like flakka or bath salts, which cause hyperthermia leading to stripping off clothes and loss of motor control. Whether it is drugs or demons, encountering this in the woods at night triggers only one command from the brain: run. The smile on Prren Pass. The man in the video had just finished his night shift and was heading home through the notoriously foggy and haunted Prren Pass. Ahead of him is a woman wearing a black leather jacket with long hair riding a motorcycle. But strangely, her bike has absolutely no lights on. In Asian traffic culture, riding at night without lights is suicidal. Thinking her headlight was broken, this Good Samaritan decided to slow down and follow her using his own high beam to light the way for her. But look closely. Her posture is rigid. She doesn't lean into the curves at all. And as the headlight illuminates her back, she begins to notice his presence. The moment of regret strikes immediately after. The woman turns her head. Not a slight turn to say thanks, but a neck rotation of nearly 180 degrees backward, while her hands remain steady on the handlebars. That face. It is wax white with deep sunken dark circles, and a threatening grin that stretches ear to ear. That is not the face of a commuter. That is the face of a predator that has just found new prey. The video ends in chaos as the man panics, loses control, and crashes onto the road. Police found him unconscious, but the woman vanished without a trace. Locals believe he encountered a wandering spirit of the pass, one that uses a facade of vulnerability to lure kind drivers into the abyss. The wind-gliding ghost. This video captures a perfect definition of the non-physical. On a desolate highway in Brazil, headlights caught an entity in the distance, dead center of the road. It is a figure of indeterminate gender, draped in a long white dress that sweeps the ground. But what makes this footage famous and controversial is not the attire, but the mechanism of movement locomotion. Watch closely. This creature glides from the left shoulder to the right and back again with a smooth, consistent speed that is utterly chilling. When humans walk, our heads and shoulders naturally bob up and down with each step. But this entity, its head maintains an absolute fixed altitude. It moves like a pawn on a chessboard, or as if sliding on an invisible rail. Two theories exist. 1. This is an elaborate prank using a hoverboard hidden beneath the long dress to create the gliding effect. 2. We are witnessing what paranormal researchers call a residual haunting, a recording of the past playing on a loop where the spirit has no consciousness but moves on an eternal inertia. Whatever it is, seeing a white shadow gliding back and forth like a pendulum in the dead of night is the clearest sign that you should turn your car around. Bigfoot found at the Olympic National Park. Dash cam footage capturing the clear shape and movement of a Bigfoot Sasquatch. Not a shadow lurking behind a tree, but a direct encounter right in the middle of the asphalt. Analyze this massive body structure. The creature possesses a barrel-chested build with broad, hunched shoulders, that completely obscure the neck, a typical trait of overdeveloped trapezius muscles in large primates. Its arms are unnaturally long, hanging down past the knees, swinging heavily with the rhythm of its steps. The dark, grayish fur covering its body allows it to blend perfectly into the night, betrayed only by the intense high beams. But the most terrifying aspect is not its size, but how it moves. Typically, a wild animal seeing lights and hearing an engine would panic and bolt. But not this creature. It walks with a slowness and calmness that borders on arrogance. Look at its stride. With just 2 steps, it clears an entire 12-foot lane. This is the characteristic, compliant gait described by experts. Knees always slightly bent, feet lifted high and placed flat, creating a smooth gliding motion despite a body weight that could exceed 600 pounds. It doesn't turn its head to look at the car even once. This ignorance is an assertion of absolute dominance. I do not care about you because you are not a threat to me. We have journeyed through grainy footage and flickering ghosts. Perhaps you are comforting yourself right now it's just CGI, or it's just a guy in a suit. Skepticism helps us sleep. It makes us believe the world is safe. But remember, the dashcam has no imagination. It feels no fear it cannot lie, it only captures light. And what we just saw are the things that reflected that light back. The asphalt roads are merely thin scars cutting across the wild. By day they belong to us. But when the sun sets, the road returns to being their territory. From the wandering souls on Prren Pass to the giants in Washington, they remind us we are merely uninvited guests. Tonight, when you are driving alone, and fatigue sets and check your rearview mirror. Not to see traffic, but to ensure you are the only one inside the car. And if your GPS directs you to a shortcut through the woods, do not take it. Sometimes the long way is the only way home. Don't stop, don't look back. I'm John. File closed.